This is a podcast from the Angel News Network with author Joel Anastasi interviewing Ascended Master St Germain as channeled by Phillip, Elton, Collins.
Greetings, beloved humans, during the triple infinity of 888, a time of empowering feminine energies for all, being positive in the transformations that are about to take place. I am Ascended Master St Germain. Like you, I was once human. Some of my past incarnations include St. Joseph, the father of Jesus and husband of Mary. I was Columbus, who rediscovered America and was instrumental in the creation of the United States. I was the philosopher and statesman Francis Bacon and the author of the Shakespearean plays. And my last was human was St Germain, who taught the course of 18th and 19th century Europe about being in their higher selves. So please know our DNA is the same, and I am here to show you the path of being me. So you may be asking yourselves the question exactly what is going on. As we spoke in the past, the spiritual DNA, the sometimes called junk DNA, is being activated within this nation, the United States, and the world. This process is being assisted by the ascension process within the planet herself and the evolution of humanity itself. Some symptoms you may experience are more clarity and fully knowing your purpose in being here, higher energy, more unity consciousness, and certainly abundance. The whole process is accelerating your ascension. The most compliant way to achieve the activation of your divine DNA is through the feminine receptive energy and that of the youth of the world. Many who come fully equipped to assist in the evolution and ascension of humanity. You may ask exactly what is spiritual DNA and how is it different from the rest of your DNA? Your other DNA makes it possible to be in this frequency through maintaining and sustaining life. The spiritual DNA is the eternal, non-physical component of your being. It is an aspect of yourself which no longer being human is necessary. It is partial of you that is directly connected to creation. It is the part of you directly connected to creation itself and protects your evolutionary ascension process into a higher frequency of existence, which is your divine destiny, which we have spoken of many times before. So when creation created you, this is your life insurance plan, your spiritual DNA, to protect you from all man-made forces that attempt to control you. Long ago, when advanced civilizations came to this planet and altered your other genes and DNA, they could not access your spiritual DNA through trying very hard. As many of you know, we higher realms were instrumental in the creation of the United States. The promise of this country, as you know, is to be a beacon of light and freedom to its people and the world. Recently, once again, your democracy has been threatened. All this is part of the divine soul plan of your nation. Each country has such a plan. Again, yours is to be the light of freedom and equality. You are still working on it with the assistance of we in the higher realms, but we cannot interfere with your free choice and will. So we have had to show you and watch you slip and fall at times in your free will and choices. Humans are addicted to drama and trauma, dear ones. Someday you won't need this. The feminine energy, the female gender, has the power of her creation within her. She brings the non-physical into physical, your birth. This is what men have feared and attempted to control and weaken. But there's no longer any need to stop the goddess energy. In fact, she is here to save you from yourself. Now about the youth. As many of you know, there are crystalline, rainbow, and other advanced beings incarnating in your world. They do not resonate with what the world has been, but only with what the world can be through equality, harmony, and balance. This will be achieved by balancing the masculine and feminine energies. It is not to destroy the masculine, simply return it to balancing, reflecting the universe itself. In your vernacular, the boys have had their chance and create a world of separation and conflict. So, dear ones, this can be a new dawn if you are ready to embrace and manifest it. As you know, we cannot predict the future for you, but we can give you wisdom and tools to assist you in making better choices. First, past and present life karma can be released. I shall repeat that. Past and present life karma can be released through these processes taking place now. In your future decisions, simply ask yourself if you want more of the same, or are you ready for change, knowing change is all there is. Change that reflects your divine soul plan as individuals and collectively. One word of caution. You are misusing and often abusing the cyber communication that was gifted to you by spreading mistruths. But call it what it is, a lie. Humanity has a way of doing this. This thing you have misnamed artificial intelligence, be aware humanity is fast to give away the gift of intelligence to a machine. Dear ones, you cannot be intelligent without consciousness, which is the greatest gift of creation. Since you appear to be in a spiritual war, your connection to the divine is your greatest weapon. Let me repeat this. Since you often appear to be in some form of spiritual warfare, your connection to the divine is your greatest weapon. So, as you go forward in your evolution, in your ascension process, take a look at the tools that have been given you and ask if this reflects the original intention of your soul plan. For those who need a deeper discussion on this topic, please refer to a book entitled The Refounding of America, which these divine souls connected to this endeavor and I created. Remember, dear ones, I, St Germain, was once human like you, and have worked hard through a personal process, a deep examination of self, to become an ascended master. You, too, have been taught this process. One of your divine soul plans is teaching all of this availability to humanity, all of these teachings. Thank you, dear ones, for being able to listen. Whether you believe such things like me exist or ponder the idea it is destiny to ascend into our frequency existence, that's what matters. Not whether you believe I exist, but you believe your destiny. If you stay in the frequency you are in now, you would most likely continue to destroy the planet and yourselves, and we prefer this not happen. Besides, the planet is going to ascend into a higher frequency with or without you. It will not be the end of the world. It will be the end of density and illusion. So what do you choose, dear ones? You are each other in disguise. You are diversified versions of one another. There is no other. There is only one. Remember, the eternal part of you has no races, no sexes, nor religions. It is beyond artificial divisions. Know, through this message of ascension, limitation through your spiritual DNA and the codes of that DNA can remove dark energies that have kept you in lack and limitation. Now is the time, if you so choose, to embrace your light, your authentic self. Trust your inner wisdom. I end this introduction with a prayer and invocation to the violet flame, your path to your divinity. Protect the women of the world and the youth in their aura of the violet light, for they shall lead you to your freedom. I've come at a time to wake up your minds, dear ones. Your hearts already know all that is spoken here. Remember, you came here to be a part of the greatest galactic shift on Earth. I shall repeat. Remember, you came here to be a part of the greatest galactic shift on Earth. How may I further assist you at this time?
Good morning, St. Germain. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
That was a wonderful, powerful, comprehensive review. Of course, you covered a lot of ground, and I'm glad you referred to our book, The Refounding of America, because what you alluded to in many different places is all laid out in clarity in that book. But let's bring it back to asking you some. Well, you ended up with a very powerful statement.
Dear one, may I interrupt?
Yes.
Let's bring it back to one other book that you were instrumental in creating. This personal process that is necessary to ascend to a higher frequency existence. You have done that through the teaching of Archangel Michael, dear one, in addition to the Refounding of America. So these two tools are essential to helping humanity, and we thank you for that endeavor, those endeavors.
Well, thank you. You're talking about life mastery, which, of course, talks about the essential personal process that helps us focus on our gifts and talents and missions so that we can fully realize ourselves as human beings.
Remembering that humanity have chosen the concept of self to identify themselves, self being a reflection of all that there is. Yes.
You know, your introduction ended with a very intriguing statement, a powerful statement, an important statement about, I didn't capture your exact words, but you talked about this profound galactic shift. Could you...
this galactic shift on Earth.
Yeah, could you explain that a little more for us?
Yes, the ascension energies are now maximizing which is allowing the activation of your divine soul DNA. And this process is allowing this, as far as this planet is concerned, to be the greatest galactic event, realizing and remembering, dear ones, that this planet is the culmination of many star systems that came together to bring the very best of their intentions to the creation of this planet. Thus, in turn, this not only affects the solar system you're in, but the galaxy that you are in as well.
So how is this affect? How is this shift affecting us here on Earth?
It raises your frequency of existence, allowing consciousness and better choices.
And does it help us see ourselves as all one?
Through consciousness, yes.
Is some of that being reflected in what we're observing right now in our own political environment here in the United States? Because in 2020, I can't capture your words exactly, but in 2020, you said something like the consciousness and culture of America in 2030 will be very different from the separation and the conflict that we're experiencing in 2020. What was it that you said about that?
Yes, that the shift that is now taking place would in fact take place through the tools that we have explained to you, your consciousness and your examination of the self. And the primary vehicle of that is the women of the world, are the women of the world, and the youth. Many people who have never voted before will be voting in this particular election coming up, will have a profound influence on the outcome. Many of these individuals do not want what has been. They want the intention of the true papers, the founding papers of America, to come forth. So they will be voting for the alternative to support that. But, as we have discussed many times before, the divine soul who's challenged your democracy was necessary on a world stage in order for the citizenship to know and remember how fragile and important democracy really is, knowing that it's never really perfect.
Yes, you had told us several years ago that the United States was not going to be achieving its mission because the citizens were taking their democracy for granted. More than half of the people weren't even voting. And so the mission of this divine soul that we call Donald Trump was to threaten democracy so that people can begin to understand the value of what they were taking for granted.
Exactly. And one of your candidates for your vice presidency happens to be a social studies teacher. And what is really lacking in America at this time is people really understanding civics, understanding how government is put together and how one affects the other. So actually now you have a teacher soul, not unlike yourselves, dear one, to be in a position of power.
Well, I'd like to focus on how all this seems to be playing out right now, because we've seen an extraordinary shift in the energy around the Democratic candidates since President Biden pulled out. Just in a few weeks, there's been a dramatic, profound shift, and I don't think the press completely understands what's taking place, because naturally they need to appear to be balanced, and they don't know how strong this continued shift towards the Democratic candidates is going to continue. But it appears to be a huge surge of energy in the direction of the feminine energy, which is certainly being represented by Kamala Harris and the youth.
Yeah, see it like the Berlin Wall. It almost has happened overnight, did it not?
Yeah, it did happen overnight.
The division of East and West. The press focuses negativity in order to make money. So it's highly unlikely that they're really going to be able to put this into cultural or spiritual or energetic context, but they are aware and they are noticing some phenomena is taking place. And we would like to say in the higher realms, it's reflecting our intentions for the nation and the world itself, even though we cannot interfere with your choices. But we have been flooding the Earth plane and the solar system plane and the galactic plane with energies in order to raise your frequency, your vibratory bodies, if you will, in order to become more conscious, in order to make better choices, as we have said before in this teaching.
Well, as we alluded, all of this experience with Donald Trump has been about Americans threatening the loss of the democracy that we verbally say we treasure, but we weren't demonstrating that. So let's come back to the mission of the United States. I know that you alluded to it, but can you make a clear statement for people who don't really understand what America's spiritual mission is in the world?
Whenever the United States was being put together in your vernacular, the founding fathers, with the support of the higher realms, such as myself, looked at every form of government throughout the history, the recorded history, which was very incomplete, but it didn't conclude things that took place prior to the recorded history. And they saw the kingships, they saw the dictatorships, they saw the things in your vernacular that didn't work. So they crafted with our support these documents that would prevent setting up governments like the past. Or we the people, by the people, for the people. That became a beacon of energetic light, a higher frequency, not only for this nation, but for the entire world. So I ask you this question: how do you think it will affect not only the nation, but the world, that a woman of mixed races can become the most powerful individual in the United States? What type of effect will that have culturally, spiritually, perhaps even religion-wise? And how will that affect the other nations of the world? Already, as we have discussed before, there are more women in power, in premierships and presidencies, and running governments across the globe, and being active in nations' governments. So this is a time of great awakening. This is a time of the nation to wake up and see there is something going on here. And what language would you use individually and collectively to describe that? That your existing president would pull out of a race, give up his power, and hand it over, perhaps instinctively, to an individual that he knew the destiny of the nation needed.
Well, of course,
It's indeed a glorious time.
Indeed. It's been a man's world. It is. I was amused by the words you used. I think you said something about the boys have had their chance and they produce separation and conflict. And they've
And they did that. Why did they largely do that? How would you answer that?
Well,
power and money.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about power and
money. It was a way to make money by having a military machine, and it was a way through attempting to conquer something which wasn't yours to have in the first place, an attempt to be in control. When, dear ones, it is time to accept you are not in control of your life. You are not in control of your life. But you can raise through your choices and your freedom of will to make decisions that raise your vibratory rate, which allows you to rise above the density of the 3D world you exist in at this time. And then control becomes irrelevant. Does that make sense?
Well, of course, it absolutely does. You know, we could essentially just end the conversation right here, but I do want to come back to something you said about what it represented that a mixed-race woman became president of the United States. And when we realize that history has been dominated by men and so many minorities and women never thought that they ever had an opportunity to share power, and what a powerful impact that will have on the whole idea that they can share power and that there can be equality, and that the we rather than the male me can begin to exert its influence on all people and on all cultures.
Many, many years ago in your teachings, dear ones, Archangel Gabriel taught you that the nation was in the process of becoming supermutts through intermarriage.
Right.
You are indeed a nation of brown and black peoples. It is time that we have governments, if you so choose, that reflect that will reflect the true populace and the obstacles that are in the way, your electoral college or your Supreme Court in this case. They need to be, in your vernacular, corrected so that those tools cannot prevent the populace of we the people. You have had elections recently where the popular vote did not secure the election winner. That is something in your freedom and choice and will, as a nation, as a government, you may begin to look at and to correct. And have the true voice of the people be reflected in your elections. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. The very idea that Donald Trump could, that Hillary Clinton won 3 million more votes than Donald Trump, and yet Donald Trump won, is absurd.
So let's just ponder in closing. What you are intending and what we're discussing does not take place at this time. And what would that represent? It would simply mean there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad in in the higher realms. It just means the citizenship needs more time to make a better choice by having more consequences take place that allows that to take place. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand, and that's a wonderful place to be. I don't mind stating my intention that we've learned all we need to learn so we can move forward. That's my prayer.
Remember, dear ones, fear, doubt, and ignorance are the monsters of mankind and humanity. So begin to eliminate those three factors, and your improved choices will come forward.
Thank you, St. Germain, for joining us today and sharing your wisdom.
Remember, today is the 888, the triple infinity. When you combine the August month of 8, today is the 8th, and you add up 2024, you get the number 8. As you know, the number 8 is the feminine energy. If you lay the 8 on its side, it is the symbol of infinity. So all of these messages, not only here, but with others as well, are all being assimilated worldwide at this time to affect the world and nation you have all been saying you want.